Okay. Hello, we are Team Lumber Market Watch. We're going to run through a quick introduction and then get into the podcast. So, I'm Henry Robb. I'm a graduate CS student. We'll start with my left and work our way back.
Am I on your left?
Yes, you're on my left.
I'm Catherine, a graduate IT student.
I'm Abrar, a undergrad senior computer science student.
I'm Faizan, I'm a graduate CS student.
I'm Josh, I'm a CS ITWS undergrad senior.
I'm Michael, I'm a ITWS CS undergrad senior.
Okay, so we all have a pretty strong AI background in this room, so when we saw the challenge we were pretty excited, and also a couple of us in this room were affected by hurricanes growing up. We live pretty close to the coast, so we thought this might be a good opportunity to have an intersection. We wanted to make a hurricane watch system that would alert people of when there might be a storm surge or something that they need to be aware of. And the Lally School has also given us a lot of opportunities to learn about how businesses work, where there can be market niches, where we can find a place to make profit. So we were able to convert that knowledge on hurricanes and possible surges into profitable pursuit here. So getting into the workflow, I'm going to open it up to the whole team to talk a bit about how AI was integrated into the workflow. We can start with Michael.
Yeah, so for my part, I did a good amount of development on the web page, actually kind of putting together all the information on the dashboard for the users who are actually viewing the model outputs. And one of the big things for me was just learning about new technologies and having AI help me in that learning process. One of the cool things I implemented that I've never implemented before was Stripe for a backend payment system. And so setting up a Stripe account, learning about setting up recurring payments for products, subscriptions, integrating all of that into the backend, having an AI chatbot to get those instant answers and answers to niche questions that are hard to find answers in search results for was really useful. In addition, I used it when setting up our sign-in provider through Clerk, kind of a similar process. And one thing that was really interesting on the Clerk side of things is they've actually built their product with agentic workflow in mind. So when you log into their website and you start everything up, they have prompts that you can actually give your agents that assist in implementing the authorization for the website. So it's interesting seeing how these companies are taking kind of an agent-first approach to development these days. And then when it came to the majority of the coding, I was able to use kind of an orchestra of agents to complete a lot of tasks and save me a lot of time, especially in web development. I'm not the best when it comes to designing websites or doing CSS or kind of all those things a lot of front-end developers do. So I was able to use agents and enter prompts in order to do a lot of that work for me.
Awesome. I think Faisal, you also used AI.
Yeah, so one of the major parts of the project was also creating like logical and information diagrams for the report and for the presentation. So usually those are made in industry with like UML diagrams, and I found that using like large language models through Claude or ChatGPT, it was very easy to feed in segments of the code and just like a high-level overview of the project and get code to generate a nice diagram illustrating either like entity diagrams or information flows. So I found that very useful. So yeah.
And to build off of that, that was one of the things that I also experimented with was asking ChatGPT to basically take the flow that we had listed in our document and basically turn that into a XML file, which could be then used on draw.io. And I didn't know that was an option before, and I thought that was really a really useful way to use AI to help with the visual design of our project.
Okay. And I also have to say, while the overall architecture for our ML pipeline was made through use of documents gained and knowledge gained in other classes, the actual implementation was made a lot easier through the help of agentic AI and actually being able to simply code with that instead of having to do all the hyperparameter tuning and everything on our own. So that definitely accelerated our timeline and made our end product a lot cleaner. I'm going to open it up to the team again on maybe some comments on how you think these skills may affect you in the workplace or on future projects in a similar vein.
Sure. I guess from my perspective, it's just a great opportunity to kind of start using those agentic agents in a coding sense. And we spend a lot of time in the classroom learning the foundational skills of computer science, whether it's writing algorithms or databases, things like that. But more increasingly, the job market has turned into a place where people are using coding agents and doing less coding by hand and more prompting and acting more like a manager of agents. So from my perspective, just a great opportunity to learn how to use these agents to our advantage, and also just see a lot of the benefits of using them, especially in speed up. I found that personally, it allotted me more time to focus on granular implementations of like specific details of the project, refining kind of the user experience in the dashboard and making exactly what I wanted to. And I spent less time debugging and worried about small implementations in code. So it really freed me up to focus on the big picture of the project and accelerate the workflow as well. I would say it was a pretty rapid prototype for in a month being able to basically make a whole dashboard with a machine learning model that has a paid access, that has a whole authentication and administration system. I would just say big time saver and just a great skill to learn about and to know going forward, especially in the job market.
I definitely would say like I should try to integrate it more into my workflow, especially like a job in the current job market. I want to say I feel like more employers are also like a question I've been hearing in interviews recently is a lot of like how to use AI, and I always answer as like I don't use it to do all of my work, but I do integrate it into my workflow by just like doing like initial searches. Maybe if I need to debug something, but like this project has definitely like made me open my eyes to realize like this is definitely a tool to use, and it'd be silly to not use it to some extent. Like very clearly, we still need the skills to learn how to code and know what our code actually does for when like AI doesn't like properly do something that we want it to do, and be able to like take it from there and figure out what the actual problem is. But it's definitely a tool that going forward I think is going to be very useful and should definitely be integrated into many workflows for professional work.
Yeah, apart from like the technical side, I also find that using large language models for turning like very code heavy implementations and complex ideas into very client friendly diagrams and reports. I think that's a major plus of using large language models I found during the project, especially for like outlining like presentations for like a presentation for like stakeholders who might not have the technical expertise to like understand the project. It's very useful to use AI there to kind of break down complex ideas.
Yeah, and kind of going back to what Josh was talking about, I think that the AI does not replace those foundational skills that we have. So I think it's important to keep in mind that you don't just let it do whatever and without looking at what it's actually giving to you. So it's not that the AI is necessarily replacing the creative process and the iterative process in that, but it's allowing you to leverage that tool to create these things more effectively and in a more timely fashion. And going to what Faison said, it's also enabling you to better understand what it is that you were working on and kind of elevate it to what you would more than you would be able to do without it in a constrained time frame, especially like we had.
Yeah, so I would say what I'm hearing from the team here is that this really accelerated our our project timeline, and by doing that, we were actually able to have a pretty tangible product here. And I think that's very important, especially for what we were doing, because ultimately, we're not just making a project with AI for AI's sake. We're attempting to make a product that will be usable by humans, and we didn't forget that either in our workflow, where we had a focus group where we got to use our roommates, our family members, just anybody we could get to sign up for our application and get feedback. So while we were definitely heavily implementing AI, and that allowed us to get pretty far pretty quickly, we did not forget our roots, we did not forget our clients along the way. So that's going to be, I think, a very important thing to balance in future years as the timeline gets so quick that you're still incorporating feedback from the real users. And just wrapping it up, what does everybody foresee the future of this project being? We've gone from 0 to 100 really quick in these past 30 days. So where do you see and this could be anything, so where do you see the project going? You can start on the other side.
I guess I see the project kind of expanding maybe into other agricultural markets. Currently, it just tracks the effects that hurricanes and other major storms have on things like lumber. But for future expansions, it could affect other things like other orange trees or rice.
That's a good expansion. Abroad, what do you think?
I think that's a great expansion opportunity, and I think we could also look at different countries, maybe other markets, maybe markets where they value different things other than lumber, which ties into that idea, and it can become sort of not just a U.S. specific tool, but like an international multi-market, multimodal kind of tool.
I think one current limitation of our project is for the prototype we currently have, it's kind of limited to, you have the paid version and you have the full dashboard, and the free version doesn't give you access to anything. So maybe making some kind of limited free version where people can access some of the data, or maybe like a lagged data that doesn't have real-time adjustment would benefit people into kind of like trying the application, getting a sense of its like usage, and then going to proceed to like a higher tier of subscription. But I think that's one possibility for future work.
Yeah, we gotta go from hurricanes to typhoons next. Typhoons, we gotta watch out for those. So,
Yeah, building on the idea of kind of like tiered data access, I'd like to see maybe implementing a system kind of similar to how stock trading happens with Bloomberg terminals, where you pay a premium for that near real-time data access, and then you can go to Yahoo Finance and see stock tickers an hour, half an hour after they've occurred. I think implementing some sort of tiered access within our dashboard would be useful.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna shoot for the stars here a bit. We use a lot of public data in our application, so having some sort of way to have a proprietary data system, so having our own buoys out on the water, having something along those lines on the ports where we think they're important, so having a more precise water gauge, I think that would be really cool and would definitely make our product even more niche and even more important for the market.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's it for us for today. Hope you enjoyed hearing about how this project affected us throughout the semester and where it's going to be going in the future. Thank you for supporting us throughout this 30-day sprint and allowing this project to become as great as it was. So,
Thank you.
yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.